Within every being, especially in the heart of every woman, dwells a force that is instinctive, creative, intuitive, and timeless. This energy is often described as the wild woman, a symbol of the sacred feminine, deeply rooted in the soul's natural rhythm. She is not confined by form or gender. Rather, she is an archetype that lives within all who seek connection, inner truth, and soulful expression. Clarissa Pinkola Estes, in her powerful book, reveals that the traits of a healthy woman and those of a wild creature like the wolf are strikingly similar. Sensitivity, playfulness, loyalty, adaptability, endurance, and the capacity for deep relationships. These are not merely characteristics, they are the living expressions of the feminine energy that is fluid, nurturing, wise, and powerfully creative. Across the world and throughout time, this divine feminine presence has been honored in countless forms. She is the wise woman, the dream weaver, the life giver, and the guide of souls. In some cultures, she is the goddess. In others, she is the earth mother, the visionary, the intuitive, or the Shakti. Her essence is the same, that is, the life or death or life cycle, the intuitive pulse that animates all things, and the mysterious force that inspires art, love, healing, and transformation. This divine energy cannot be fully understood through intellect alone. It must be felt, lived, and honored. It stirs in dreams, moves through creativity, and calls us toward a deeper, more soulful way of being. When awakened, it brings vitality, insight, and a profound sense of belonging, not just to the world, but to one's own self. In this video, we aim to present a comprehensive and reflective exploration of the feminine divine energy. This sacred force has been addressed in diverse ways by different cultures and spiritual traditions. And through this journey, we hope to uncover its many voices, symbols, and truths. The divine feminine in the Vedas. In the Vedic worldview, the divine feminine is not just a personified goddess. She is the very Shakti, the primordial energy of existence. She is the dynamic force that activates consciousness itself, while Purusha, the cosmic spirit, represents pure passive consciousness. It is Prakriti, the divine feminine, that is the active, creative force. Without her, nothing moves, nothing manifests. The Rig Veda, the oldest known text of the Vedic corpus, speaks of various feminine deities like Ushas or the dawn, Saraswati or the flow of wisdom and speech, and Aditi, that is the infinite mother of gods. These goddesses are not mere characters, they are principles. Usha's is the awakening of light. Saraswati is the intelligence that flows through the universe. And Aditi is the boundless that gives birth to creation. Shakti, the supreme power. The concept of Shakti, power, energy, dynamism, emerges more explicitly in later Vedic literature and reaches its full blossoming in the Upanishads and Puranas. Shakti is not subordinate to the masculine. In fact, even Shiva, the supreme god, is inert without her. The Vedas proclaim Shiva without Shakti is a corpse. This divine feminine is not limited to compassion, motherhood, or nurturing. She is also the fierce protector, the destroyer of ignorance, as seen in Durga and Kali. She is the cosmic rhythm of life, death, and rebirth. Every aspect of nature, from the blossoming of a flower to the destructive power of a storm, is seen as an expression of her divine play. The feminine as wisdom and liberation. In the Devi Shukta of Rig Veda, we find a rare moment of a female seer declaring her own realization. I move among the gods and among men. I pervade heaven and earth. I am the queen, the gathered up of treasures, full of wisdom, first of those who are worthy of worship. Here the divine feminine is not hidden or secondary. She is front and the center, the very voice of realization, the embodiment of wisdom or vidya, and the giver of liberation or moksha. Having explored the Vedic understanding of divine feminine as the active force behind all creation, Shakti, the dynamic principle of life, we now enter the profound and experiential world of Tantra, where the divine feminine becomes not only cosmic energy, but the very path and goal of spiritual realization. Tantra, a vision of a sacred union. Tantra does not merely revere the divine feminine, it centralizes her. In contrast to the more symbolic and philosophical tone of the Vedas, Tantra is direct, experiential, and intimate. The divine feminine here is not seen in abstract. She is Kundalini, Tripura Sundari, Bhagavati, Kali, the very heartbeat of spiritual process. At the heart of Tantra lies the union of Shiva and Shakti. Unlike dualistic systems where the masculine and feminine are in tension or opposition, Tantra views them as eternally united, dancing within one another. Shakti is not subordinate to Shiva, nor is Shiva to Shakti. They are interdependent polarities. Shiva is pure consciousness. Shakti is the creative power that makes that consciousness manifest and tangible. In tantric sadhana or practice, it is through the awakening of Shakti within the individual that spiritual ascent takes place. This inner Shakti, known as Kundalini, is visualized as a coiled serpent at the base of the spine. When awakened through disciplined practice, She ascended through the chakras, uniting with Shiva at the crown, resulting in expanded awareness and realization. The goddess as the universe herself. In Tantra, the divine feminine is not a symbolic representation of energy. She is the universe. Every aspect of matter, mind, body, emotion, sound, time is a manifestation of the goddess. The Devi Mahatmyam, a key tantric text, proclaims, "You are the sole embodiment of all that can be known. You are the Om of the universe, the origin of all creation." Thus, to the tantric, there is nothing profane or mundane. Every experience, every emotion, every sensation, even those considered taboo, becomes a gateway to a sacred when approached with awareness. The divine feminine is not separate from the world. She is the world, and liberation lies not in escaping her, but in recognizing her essence in all things. Tantra views the goddess not merely as nurturing or protective, but also as fierce, unpredictable, and transformative. Forms like Kali and Chinnamasta represent the dissolution of ego, the destruction of false identity. These fierce goddesses are not to be feared but surrendered to, for they cut through delusion and awaken truth. Unlike systems that suppress the body or emotions, Tantra embraces them. The body is her temple, the senses are her instruments, and love itself becomes a sacred offering. In this sense, the divine feminine in Tantra is not only an outer deity but an inner process. She is the power that leads from fragmentation to wholeness. Now we shift from metaphysical frameworks to the psychological lens, where the divine feminine is understood as a living principle within the human psyche. Archetypal dimension, the inner feminine. In psychological terms, particularly within Jungian thought, the divine feminine is recognized as an archetype, a deep inherited pattern of consciousness. Carl Jung introduced the concept of the anima, the feminine inner image that exists within the male psyche, just as the animus, the masculine image, exists within the female psyche. But beyond gender, the divine feminine archetype represents qualities inherent in all humans: intuition, receptivity, nurturance, creativity, empathy, and emotional depth. This archetype, when balanced, nurtures wholeness. When denied, it can lead to imbalance. A life driven solely by logic, control, aggression, or disconnection from the emotional self. Awakening the divine feminine, then, is a journey of integration, bringing into consciousness what has been marginalized or forgotten. Modern psychology recognizes that the feminine and masculine are not fixed roles or identities. They are psychological patterns. The divine feminine is not limited to softness or gentleness. She also includes inner strength, fierce clarity, and the power to transform. She is the part of us that listens deeply, that moves with the rhythms of intuition rather than the rigidity of intellect. This psychological approach aligns deeply with ancient spiritual insights but reframes them in language accessible to the modern mind. Here, the divine feminine is not worshipped externally but honored inwardly as a vital part of a balanced psyche. Her presence allows for depth, emotional intelligence, creative flow, and the ability to hold contradictions without needing resolution. These are also considered other qualities essential for psychological resilience. In today's world, dominated by speed, performance, and linear goals, the divine feminine often remains suppressed. These can manifest as burnout, emotional numbness, or a lack of connection to deeper meaning and purpose in life. Psychological growth requires the re emergence of the feminine, not to replace the masculine, but to harmonize with it. How awakening the divine feminine heals. When a person starts to reconnect with this part of themselves, perhaps through art, stillness, or meditation, journaling, being in nature, or simply feeling emotions without judging them, something starts transforming. They begin to remember who they are beyond roles and performance. They listen to what they truly need, not just what they are told they should need. This inner rebalancing is what psychologists call integration. It's like welcoming home a part of yourself you didn't know you had exiled. This integration leads to a greater sense of peace, inner confidence, and connection to life. Let's take another common situation. A man who has been taught to suppress emotions. He feels pain, but he avoids it. He struggles in relationships, often feeling misunderstood or emotionally shut down. Awakening the divine feminine in him doesn't mean he becomes soft or weak. It means he learns to feel, to empathize, to speak from the heart. This doesn't make him less of a man, it makes him whole. The feminine as medicine for modern illness. So many modern mental health issues, such as anxiety, loneliness, emotional fatigue, even identity crisis, are in many cases symptoms of living in a hyper masculine psychological culture, a culture that honors doing but not being, talking but not listening, building but not resting. These are not just cultural flaws, they are personal wounds. Reclaiming the divine feminine is like giving ourselves permission to live differently. It means honoring rest as much as productivity, silence as much as speech, depth as much as clarity. It teaches us that healing doesn't always come from fixing things. Sometimes it comes from holding space, from just being with what is. Alright, so we have talked about the concept of the divine feminine from different lenses. But let's bring it closer to home. Because the truth is, awakening the divine feminine is about how we live our everyday lives. It's about the way we relate to our emotions, the way we rest, how we listen, how we speak, how we make decisions, and even how we treat our bodies. So, let me walk you through some very real, very simple ways that we can begin to reconnect with that sacred energy, and more importantly, how this helps us actually heal from the inside. Number one, create space for stillness. Let's start with something really basic, that is silence. We are always doing, planning, fixing, but the feminine within us thrives in stillness, not inaction, but presence, just being. You can try this. Take 5 minutes every morning. Sit in silence. No phone, no to-do list. Just breathe, look out the window, feel the moment. You will definitely notice something. Your nervous system begins to settle. Anxiety softens. Thoughts slow down. That's not nothing. That's healing. That's the return of the feminine. Number two, feel your emotions without rushing to solve them. This one's huge. Most of us were never really taught how to feel. We were taught to manage, suppress, push through. But the divine feminine is deeply emotional. She doesn't avoid feeling. She welcomes it. Next time you feel overwhelmed, don't try to fix it immediately. Just sit with it, journal it, speak it out loud, cry, if that's what comes up. Because when we allow emotions to move through us, they release and we make space for peace. Number three, create without pressure. This is such a forgotten joy. Creating just because. We live in a world where everything has to be productive or impressive. But the feminine creates for the sake of creation, for beauty, for joy, for expression. Draw, sing, dance in your room, write something no one will read. This kind of play reconnects us with our inner child. It reminds us that we don't need permission to express ourselves. That's incredibly healing. Number four, listen to your body and rest without guilt. Let's be honest, many of us are tired, but we keep pushing because somewhere inside we believe rest has to be earned. The divine feminine honors the body. She whispers, "You are not a machine, you are a living being. Listen." So next time you feel drained, don't ignore it. Rest, take a bath, go for a walk without a destination. Stretch, breathe. That isn't indulgence, that's sacred self-care. And it tells your nervous system that I am safe. I don't have to fight all the time. Number five, listen to people without rushing to respond. The feminine is the energy of deep listening. And one of the most powerful things you can do for yourself and others is just hold space. The next time someone speaks to you, pause. Listen not just to the words, but to the emotion underneath. Don't interrupt. Don't fix. Just receive. it can transform relationships. It can soften long held tensions. And when we offer that kind of presence to others, we learn to offer it to ourselves too. Number 6, follow your intuition. Let's talk about intuition, that quiet inner knowing we often ignore. The divine feminine speaks through the gut feelings, inner nudges, subtle knowing, and in a world that worships logic, we often silence that voice. So, start small when making a decision about what to eat, where to go, what to say. Ask yourself what feels right, not just what seems right, but what feels aligned. Over time, this builds trust with yourself, and that's the foundation of deep healing when you no longer doubt your own inner voice. Finally, number 7, honor your cycles and say no when you need to. One final practice: honor your rhythms. We have been conditioned to be consistent, high performing on all the time, but that's not how the feminine works. She flows in cycles: high energy, low energy, outward, inward. That's natural. So give yourself permission to slow down when your body asks for it. Say no to things that drain you. Say yes to what restores you. That's not weakness. That is wisdom. And that is the divine feminine guiding you back to balanced state. So as you can probably feel by now, the divine feminine is not just a concept. This is a vast living wisdom to live, and honestly, what we have explored so far today is only the beginning. This is a huge area in the world of spirituality, psychology, and healing. One video, one talk can't possibly cover it all. But if this resonated with you, if something in you stirred, softened, or opened, I would love to hear from you. Let me know in the comments if you would like me to create a part 2. There is so much more we can explore. The divine feminine through the goddess archetypes, how it lives in relationships, the sacred wild feminine, or even how it shows up in ancient Indian texts and rituals. And if anything from this talk helped you, even in a small way, maybe it gave you language for something you have been feeling or offered comfort during a tough time, I invite you to share that too. Your experience might just be the mirror someone else needs. Let's make this space a circle of reflection, not just a lecture. I'll be reading all your insights and weaving them into what comes next. Until then, honor your feelings, trust your inner knowing, and let softness be your strength. The divine feminine within you is already awakening.